Alright, so let's talk about probably the most popular ship in the Sonic franchise when it comes to Sonic. And that is, in my opinion, and I'm sure I might get some disagreements, but I'll talk about the other one a little bit. And that is Sonic and Sally. Now, I've talked about this a lot, everybody else has talked about this, and I think what makes this such a very popular ship is the fact that it's an opposites attract relationship. It's an opposites attract relationship when it comes to the two. You have Sonic being Sonic, him wanting to do things his way, but you have Sally wanting to do things, the correct way, with a plan and all that. And Sonic's like, well, whatever the plan is, can you give me the simplified version about 10 seconds and I'll take care of it? He's that kind of person. So the dynamics, kind of work for them both being each other's foil. And, what's interesting about the relationship is the fact that it's gone through a lot of ups and downs, when it comes to not the cartoon, most, in a way, but mostly the comic. In the cartoon, you can kind of see that dynamic as well. Like, it's kind of like back and forth, the bickering a little bit, the kind of like disagreements and everything. But in the end, they do care about each other. I mean, we see Sally basically admit her feelings towards him, just as they're about to approach and face off with the Doomsday Machine. So you see that kind of dynamic there and everything between them. And it's great. You can definitely tell that, it's a relationship, it's an opposites attract relationship that, works. It's a perfect example of, one person or one side of that coin, being their own, person, being wanting to do their own thing. And then the other side of that coin, wanting, to do things a certain way so that things work out the right way. And they just somehow gel. They just somehow gel like, they know they might have different philosophies, but when they kind of work it together, it just works. It just comes together perfectly and everything. In the comic, of course, displayed this in a way that made things very interesting right off the bat. I mean, from the early days, where it was more adventure style and everything, more comedic, you had those moments in there to where basically there was an attraction with them. Obviously, they did really like each other. Sally kissed him several times for being a hero and such. But it wouldn't be until we got, into the comic being more Satayam-like and then being its own thing, that the relationship really took off and became, I guess you could say, one of the legendary ships in, comic history. And I know that's kind of a, I guess you could say, brash thing to say, but it's true. It became one of the more, I guess you could say, legendary ships, based in, that came, I should say, from a comic, or kind of really grew in a comic, outside any other media, in like the 30 plus 40 years, of comics that have had relationships. These are the original ideas, adaptations, you name it. So to see Sonic and Sally kind of have that kind of relationship up and down throughout, really made people want to see this relationship, grow and become more than what it was. I mean, when you look at 134, a lot of people say that never happened. They look at that issue and like, yeah, nope, didn't happen. They ignore that. And they focus more on what happened not pre, but post 134, and mostly post, Ken Penders and post 175 to 177 story arc, anniversary arc. They look at everything that's post 200. They look at everything that's mainly post Iron Dominion, and that as examples of this relationship being, what it can be, if not more. We can, they see that. I mean, post Iron Dominion is probably what people like myself consider the best example of how to rebuild a relationship that was kind of on the rocks for a while, if not broken. Kind of repair it, glue it back together, make it as it once was, if not better. And we got to give Ian Flynn credit for that, because basically he took his time with it. He said, look, I'm going to put this together. I'm going to make them grow. And he did. Unfortunately, it didn't last long because, he went and did the Mecha Sally thing and everything. But even after that, you have Sonic glad to see Sally back in the post-reboot. She's kind of confused about what he's talking about until, she gets her memories back and everything. And that's when it's kind of like, comes to fruition as to, what her life was previously before everything went down. So, again, the dynamic is there, and you kind of see that dynamic hinted at a little bit in the post-reboot, even though Ian Flynn has basically admitted that they were more in favor of a Sally Nicole bisexual relationship with, lesbian bisexual relationship with each other. You can still see that Ian and his crew threw in little moments and hints, of those two kind of still having a thing, but not like they used to in the pre-reboot. But even so, you take a look at all those moments and everything, throughout the comic and in the cartoon, that involve Sonic and Sally, and you could see why fans backed that relationship up more so than anything, when it came to Sonic being in any kind of romantic relationship period with any character, even more so than Amy. But that's just my take on it. I've said as much as I could on it, throughout this channel's history. But give me your thoughts on it, and let's move on to the next one, which is Amy Rowe.